All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the coin. It's that time of the week. I was going to say it's that time of the month. I think that would have sounded pretty bad.
Jeez.
Um,
Mizzy, you're not telling us something, bro?
yeah, keep that on the hush, bro. Keep that on the
Yeah.
hush. But yeah, it's that time of the week. That's live podcast. We're back, and it's gonna be quite frequent because now the matches are going to be coming thick and fast with Europa. No, no, we're not in Europa League, man. Conference League. Um, see how Ryan? I don't even mention Champions League. Like my first thought
You
is
know,
Europa League.
one win and you just promoted us, bro.
Yeah, yeah, we're actually a step below Europa League. Conference League matches is going to be around the corner, and of course, I believe Carabao Cup matches will be coming as well. So, without further ado, Mr. Ryan Gunners, how are you, my man?
Good, bro. Good. One win in the bag. It's been a while since we
Mm,
celebrated on this podcast. So,
yeah.
last podcast was a heavy one.
Yes.
But a much needed one, a good therapeutic one. But it
Mm,
was a reminder why we love Chelsea so much, and it brings us back here to celebrate when we win. So that's what it's all about, right?
100%. And that win for me, and we're going to talk heavily about that particular win and some of the things that we've learned, touch base on some of the players, and of course, look at the future outlook on the fixtures that are coming up. But for me, Ryan, and I want to hear from you. I like that kind of victories a lot where you just hang on, you hang on, you hang on. You probably didn't even deserve to win, probably didn't even deserve to get a draw, but you do walk away with 3 points. I really appreciate these type of performances because in the Premier League, you need that type of results every now and then where things aren't going for you, but you have to be able to come
Yeah.
out of it with 3 points. How do you feel, man?
You know what? I watched the game,
Mm,
and especially the second half,
yeah,
and it was a scrappy. While I watched, it was a bit scrappy. It was exactly what you said.
yeah,
But I think one thing that I learned about this team, whether it's from the manager or what is it coming from, I
mm,
think we just had a bit of urgency that it seemed as we wanted to win. Our
yeah.
players wanted to win. Some
Especially
times, well,
second half. Second
yeah,
half. First half.
no, but it seems like under Poch, there was sometimes in the 80th minute and stuff we draw in, or
Mm,
even we 1-0 down. It's like these players don't look like they have urgency, and only in the 88th minute or the 89th minute they want to push and push and push.
mm,
And it felt like from in this match early on in the second half, it seemed like we we turned that switch,
yeah,
and
100%.
every single time we touched the ball had some sort of intent. Maybe it didn't come across perfectly, but it seemed
Yeah,
like mentally we really wanted to win. I think
yeah,
that's one
yeah.
big takeaway I take from it. What about you?
Yeah, same, man. Look, the first half, I was a little bit disappointed and then we're going to touch base on some of the comments that um, Maresca made post match. But yeah, like, I wasn't very happy after the first half, but I was still optimistic, Ryan. You know why? Because so far this season, I know every match we've produced one half of the entire match. Like we've been able to put 45 minutes together. So at halftime,
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know what? I'm I'm actually I'm not happy, but I'm optimistic that second
Mm,
half surely we can turn this around because we've played our worst football. Now
yeah.
hopefully it's the way up. And I like the fact Enzo Maresca straight away made a change at halftime. He brought in Jadon Sancho immediately. He didn't dwindle around thinking, okay, whoever is there, they'll be able to just do the job. He straight away did not like um, the initial setup and change things. And one of the things that I want to ask you now is, Ryan, post match, he talks about Enzo Maresca talks about the fact that we're not we're not winning enough duels. We're not winning enough second balls. And he's like, that needed to change in the second half. And that's exactly what he was, drilling into the players, letting them know that you can't just be coming to Bournemouth in these type of grounds and just expect your talent is just going to carry you over. You have to put in the hard yards. And Enzo Maresca on a regular basis keeps talking about this. And I know you and I, Ryan, on this podcast, that's our podcast, we talk about talented players, how what they can do from a technical standpoint. But there is no hiding away from you got to win duels. You've got to win those second balls and show the desire, the hunger to be aggressive. Um, is do you feel this is where Chelsea does need to step up a lot more and have, in order to get consistency in the game, that's where they really need to work hard in the upcoming fixtures?
I think I saw a comment in your last stream. I think it was the end of the match, where
Mm,
someone said that yeah, tactics is important, but tactics will only get you so far. And
mm.
he's talking about the difference in talent when Sancho came in,
I
and
think I know who you're talking about. Hudge. Hudge. Shout out to Hudge, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, and and that's true. The tactics set the structure, but how you operate within that structure is a whole different story. Only half the
Mm,
job is done in the tactics, and then the other half is how you operate within that structure. I
mm.
think that when it comes down to duels, I don't think it's necessarily physical strength. I think it's more mental strength.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, bro. When you watch some YouTube shorts and you just keep getting more and more and more and more.
Mm.
I've been getting a lot of shorts from Patrice Evra, like a lot, and not in
Man's
memes,
been
but like
watching him.
yeah, not in memes, but just interviews about his time at Man U and Juventus,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just really gave insight to what made those teams special. For
Mm,
example, I think it had this, I don't know which opposition it was, but I think Man U were playing a rival and Nani got an injury, right?
mm,
And
mm.
Nani started to cry and they took him off, right? Nani said he wanted to come off, right?
Yeah.
And Fergie went to him after the match and said, I hope your leg is effing broken. Because you no, because you don't go to a rival and cry.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
go a rival and they knock you down and they cry. I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
mentality back then was that you had so much pride fighting for that badge. You're gonna get up and you're gonna knock them back down.
Yeah.
It
I
was like a
never
war.
show the rivals that you're
Yeah,
mentally broken.
yeah, mentally broken, and it's like that kind of mentality of war.
Mm.
It was it's something that you can't really teach on with a tactical board. You can't really teach. It has to be imprinted in the
Yeah.
DNA of your manager and the club and this and that. And these young kids these days are always about Instagram posts and
Yeah.
TikToks and interviews and this and that. But I think somewhere these kids are just not mentally prepared
Yeah.
to play football like that.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
and people laugh about English football. I think sometimes we laugh at it too. Not laugh, or we criticize it
Yeah.
about like Italian football, more tactical, Spanish football, Pepper's tactics, German and football, stuff like that. But
Mm.
one thing is dying in this, in the new generation of players, is this the mentality to go out there and go for war.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all this positional play and man marking and this and that, it kills the heart
Yeah.
of and soul of it. And I think if you can mix tactics with that heart and soul and war, it would be a different beast. And I think that's what you see with some managers, like Klopp, for example. He has the mixture of both. So I don't know. I was wondering what you think about that. Like,
No, I think you're spot on, and I'm about to share something with you, which will probably make you more, if make you feel vindicated about what you just said. I don't know if you saw this, Ryan. This is Jadon Sancho putting up an Instagram post match the victory against Bournemouth, saying delighted to make Chelsea debut and to top it off with a win. And look who commented below.
hmm,
Bruno Fernandes, who's the Man United captain, saying, "Some player you
yeah,
fire emoji, keep that smile." I think this is kind of what you're trying to say is that the mentality in the modern era, uh, in terms of their rivals, I don't want to give them an inch. I don't want to show them any type of, emotions I might be feeling inside mentally. I want to show them that I'm here to absolutely smash you guys and take the 3 points. It's just not there anymore. It really isn't. I mean,
Is that outdated? Are we just old and outdated and stuck in the past?
I,
Should we get with the times or should they get to our times?
I,
What
I
is it?
very, very good question.
Are
Like,
we just stuck in our ways? Are
or
we
is
just
the
hateful old people that wants to take out our anger and life on football on the football field?
yeah, that
Which one is it?
competitive edge. I don't know, man. Like, is this something that is being brought on in the new era from school
Could
level, where the teachers kind of tell the kids not about competition, it's not about competitive, it's about loving everyone, be inclusive, everyone hug. I don't get it. Like, Ange Postecoglou, I don't know if you saw this video, and it's getting a whole heap of heat, right? Ange Postecoglou, Spurs manager, prior to the North London derby, in his press conference said, I don't want my players to treat this game any differently to other games. I want them to treat them as important as all the other games, because at the end of the day, it's 3 points. And he goes, I would hate to think my players in the dressing room would want to put more for this game as opposed to other games. Now, in theory, I understand what he's trying to say. In theory, I understand what he's trying to say, but put a Spurs manager up against Arsenal, the history, the rivalry behind, like, you need to G up your players. Well, you don't
yeah.
even need to. Like, at the end of the day, it's given. But it, I don't know. For me, it's only natural that when I see a fierce rival, I will go. I'm always going to give my 100%, but when I see a fierce rival, I'm going to go try and go beyond, above and beyond. Like, I don't know. I feel like in this day and age, Ryan, everyone's your mates.
Yeah,
It's
but
all
even
mates.
you see with cricket too, no? Like back in the day,
Yeah.
cricket with test match and sledging and stuff. Now everybody's playing
Yeah.
like IPL and CPL and this and that, where
They're all
everybody's like
mates.
friends. Yeah, like they can't cuss out each other in international cricket because 2 weeks from now they're playing with each other.
With playing with each
And
other.
I think like academies are so strongly knitted
Mm,
these days. I don't know how it used to be in the past, but a lot of these English players grew up with each other and they played
mm,
with each other in the academy days or even for like the younger England days and this and that. So a lot of
mm,
these players are well connected. It's hard to have that kind of like a rivalry. I wouldn't say hate, but rivalry. And
mm.
how do you get the extra out of a young player like this? Where do you hit them mentally? And I think I have an answer for it. You know,
Before you give me that answer, it's such an important point that both of us have just raised here, especially you when you've just brought this up in regards to the mentality side. I think this will give us a big competitive edge, Ryan. Like, I think this is where we're lacking a lot, where our players.
where's the mentality monster guy? Like it was time to
Where's
get
the
him on the
where's the
podcast.
Cookie Monster, bro? Where's the? I
Yeah.
used to call him Cookie Monster, by the way.
Okay.
Where is the Cookie Monster? I don't know, but you're right. Like, we should be going into the games feeling I want to annihilate this opposition. Absolutely. But next weekend, right? It's West Ham. I don't want to see no start the game very easy. Like, get stuck in. Now, I'm not saying go out there and break someone's leg. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying
At
get
least sprain the
stuck
ankle.
in. Yeah, at least right
Don't
now.
break it
So
though.
you're going to say something in regards to why you feel this might be the case.
I think it in younger people and this generation, it's hard to make them put that killer mindset into them.
Mm,
Uh, and I think that, for example, you could kind of see the mindset in Real Madrid with Bellingham and stuff like that.
yeah.
It's a kind of, instead of a hate for other teams, it's a kind of pride for your own team.
Yeah.
It's a kind of
Yeah.
pride and love for the history and the standards and the people that came before you and the people who
Mm.
sacrificed before you and this and that. And it's a kind of,
Upholding that standard.
yeah, and it's only the standard, but well, Real Madrid is different. But if you talk from the Chelsea point of view, the people who spend the hard-earned money to come in the stadium, to sacrifice, with this and that, I feel like to get under these players or get behind them and motivate them, I feel like so much
Mm.
players are out of touch with what a fan is and
Yeah.
what they experience. You know, a lot of people just you could just watch fans from the stadium, this and that, but when you lose the the view of what it actually meant to grow up supporting Chelsea and to be
Mm,
born in that time and the sacrifice that was made before and the players who came before and how they view Chelsea and how much blood and sweat they came to make Chelsea the biggest club in the world in the past 20
yeah.
years. I think that to get the most out of these young players, it needs to be from a different point of view of why they would want to have that to get stuck into challenges. It's
Mm,
not much about that rivalry of hating the other opposition. It's more about wanting to make us the absolute best and to have that competitive edge. I don't feel, and you kind of, other than like coming out of this, you kind of brought it up just now. What if it's just a mental thing in society now? Maybe it's shun upon to get stuck in a challenge. Maybe they're afraid that they get abuse on social media from people or
do you know
brand
what?
deals or this and that.
Do you know why why I'm saying this is because I noticed this with my son as well when I, take him to school and I see them play with other kids and whatnot. There's no competitive edge. Like I tell my son when he's in training, like, mate, you gotta be a little bit more physical. Like you gotta go there and shoulder barge. You gotta that ball is your ball. Like you cannot let that ball be taken away from your feet like that. You gotta get stuck in. And because he's playing with mates, like, yeah, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to hurt them, or I'll take the ball if when I can. Like, I'm not gonna show too much strength and physicality. I don't know. I just feel like maybe they get that attitude from their teachers. Just because I see them always hugs and lovey-dovey. Like, I get it. Like my son's only like 7. He's going to be turning 7 next month. So I understand. But I just remember when I was at school, Ryan, bro, lunchtime. I remember there'd be fights. Like
Yeah.
we'd have fights with friends, people that you're hanging out with, but you get so competitive during lunch breaks, playing whether it's cricket, whether it's football. Like if it's cricket, you smash someone for a 6. Next ball, you best believe that guy's gonna go for your head. Like there's a bad bad boy ball coming to your head. If it's football, you just know like,
But
oh,
I think
yeah, man,
it's not only like aggression, right? It's cool. It's cool. You don't need to like teach like aggression or hate and this and that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think it's just the intangibles. I'm not saying to go and risk your life out there or whatever,
Mm,
right?
mm,
But we used to have players like John Terry, how he would dive headfirst into a challenge, or
true.
Cahill dive headfirst on the floor where he could risk getting kicked on the head instead of the
Yeah,
ball. Those kind of players with a different heart and soul and mentality,
yeah.
they would die for this club. I know our life is much more than football, and life is much more than injury and this and that. Maybe that mentality wasn't the right thing. Maybe that old school mentality, from a human
It's
point
too
of view,
reckless, maybe. Who
yeah.
knows?
Last podcast we were talking about the human level.
Yeah.
Maybe the human level, maybe these players are right, but maybe from a psychology point of view, there needs to be a way to get into these players to make them want to give that extra 10%. Because when it comes
Yes.
down to that first point we made of going into tackles, winning those duels, it is
Mm,
mental. All of these players pass so much fitness test. They're strong enough, they're fast enough, they're quick enough. It's it's mentality. And it need to get something out of these players to want to give that 100%. And I think it's a belief thing too. They need
yeah.
to have a belief that what they do is going to get them. They need to want to be the best. They need to
I,
want to be the best.
I fully agree with you, man. The more and more I see comments on live stream, I see comments post videos by Chelsea fans or any other fans. Like I got now quite a lot of other fans as well, just commenting on Chelsea stuff, and also the stuff that Enzo Maresca is saying. It makes me think it's not about the talent, man. I think the talent's there at this level. Everyone's fairly talented. Like it's not about one is less talented than the other, and this is why we're losing. No, or this is why we're dropping points. It's more the fact that one team sometimes seems to show us a little bit more desire as opposed to us, and this is why so far this season it's been inconsistent. And coming back to this game again, Ryan, similar thing. First half. very, very mediocre, and then second half somewhat better. Not, I'm not going to paint a picture that it was extremely good, but it was definitely a lot better than the first half. And it looked like we had far more control of Bournemouth. I think this is the most important part that I want to harp on about the fact that I want to be able to go into matches, Ryan, and I want to be able to control the opposition. Now, what
Yeah,
do I mean by control, Ryan? What do I mean by control? I'm not saying that, completely just box them in and just have unnecessary like possession for us. No, what I mean is when Jadon Sancho came on, more progressive passes with intent, showing them a
yeah,
threat that if you break, like we've got players that are gonna hurt you as well.
yeah,
So, with that intent, showing them that as soon as we lose the ball, we will try our level best to get that ball back from you quickly. So if you're not making the right decisions, you're going to be in trouble. So always making the opposition feel you need to be scared. You need
yeah.
to be very scared of me. And that's how I kind of felt as soon as Sancho came, as soon as we got rid of Desasi, who was abysmal, as soon as we got Joao Felix in and especially Nkunku up front, you could just see all of a sudden we were a lot more confident. Every player was a lot more confident. And I think Jadon Sancho was the catalyst of that, Ryan, who created this vibe, this feel, and which was contagious across everyone else that, hey, don't be scared of the ball. When you got the ball,
Yeah.
show that you can play with it
Um,
and you can
you're
move
right.
quickly. Is that similar sort of how you felt around the second half where we had a lot more control and this is what you want to see moving forward with our team controlling opposition?
I think, Miz, I think that you're right. This is
Mm,
how I want to see. And I'll get to Jadon Sancho and these guys and put my praises for them, right?
mm,
Eventually. But I want to state something important here that I wanted to message you, but I say, you know what, I'll wait for the podcast, right?
mm.
And we you talk about wanting to control play. And we talk about how defenders need to be ball players and this and that. And midfielders, we want them on the turn and we want them to be tactically to register and get into these spaces and this and that, right?
Yeah,
And you know me, I love tactics and I love all of these
you love
things.
it.
But I feel like somewhere within the past 5 years with everybody trying to be Pep. I know people bring up an interesting argument, it's like Pep revolutionized tactics, but did he make football better?
Probably not. It made it
Because
more robotic.
yes, exactly. Where football was about freedom and
Yes.
style.
Yeah.
And and all countries, not only Brazil, but all countries like France with Zidane and this and that, it had players with style, and football was an art.
Yeah.
Now tactics is an art, but before the individual, the street football, what got people to want to kick a ball.
Mm.
Now when kids want to kick a ball, what do they see? They see someone cutting in and trying to score, but they don't get to see the art, what we got to see with Ronaldinho and this and that.
Mm.
And I think that, for example, we talk about challenges and this and that, like running into challenges and winning duels, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like we reached the area with tactics that defenders can't even be defenders anymore. And midfielders can't even be midfielders.
You gotta be good on the
Oh,
ball. You gotta be good
yeah,
on the ball.
good on the ball, but what about good at getting back the ball?
Exactly. What
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 about
about
what about wanting to die in your box so
yeah.
that goal doesn't score? What
Yeah.
about the Warriors, man? And
What about recovering when you're at a position and then the opposition is now straight through? What about that desire to let's run back and try
yeah,
and
but
defend this?
here it is. I want a goalkeeper that could save shots.
Mhm.
We want a goalkeeper to be Xavi or Xabi Alonso. What
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
hear me out, just a goalkeeper who could save shots.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not even putting it down because people like Chiellini and Puyol and these and Piqué and these guys from the last generation, they
Yeah.
were warriors, but they were
Mm.
good ball players too. But you
Yeah.
didn't see them trying to be midfielders. They were
No.
all out. Even Ramos, these guys, wonderful ball players, but they were first and foremost. When you think about Puyol, when you think about Sergio Ramos, what you think about? One of the best defenders, the most
Oof.
rugged, deadliest
Yeah.
defenders. You
Don't
don't
mess
want to
with
play
them.
against these guys,
Nah. Yeah.
even though they were fantastic ball players. But now it seems like
100%.
ball players is the first thing you want your scout to get. You
Yeah.
don't. You want to. Okay, for CB, I want a good passer. Like, what the hell is this? You know, for CB, I want a brilliant defender. You know, I'll say this is what I wanted to text you about, Miz. We
Mm.
always talk about, okay, we want better tactics, vertical passes, we want the pockets being better, one-on-ones. Miz, Chelsea, you remember the times when we used to have a defensive line with Cahill, Ivanovic, Terry, and
Mm.
together they would contribute nearly 20 goals from corners for us.
Oh, yeah.
When
Lethal.
last we
Lethal.
score goals in corners?
I don't
And when
really
last we
remember,
scored
bro.
more than 10 goals from corners in a season? I
We
remember
don't
one
anymore.
time our back trio had more goals than some striking trios in the league.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like around 2015, around that time, 14, 15,
Even during Thomas Tuchel era, when he took over the
with
first season,
Zuma and
yeah, they were
those kind
scoring
of guys.
goals. Zuma,
No,
Thiago
but
Silva, they were scoring
it's like,
goals.
okay, and think about it before. Chelsea, when we had Frank or Mata,
Mm.
when we won a free kick anywhere, we would say that this could be a goal.
This could be a
There's a
goal. Yeah.
50-50 chance that Mata or Frank Lampard could score a goal from here.
Yeah.
So you take out about Lampard probably used to score about, well, Lampard and Mata together probably score
Mm.
more than 10 goals from set pieces, from free
Mm. Mm.
kicks, probably 5-5 each maybe.
Mm.
Then you have about 15 goals coming from corners.
Mm.
You're talking about 25 goals your team is missing out here. All
Yeah.
because you're so focused on what? The
Ball playing.
positional play, the ball play, and the verticality. Now, I'm all for tactics. I love tactics. This is what I do. This is what I
Mm.
analyze. But if you put the tactics together with the mentality and the aggression, together with the set pieces,
Yeah.
boy, you could get one of the most destructive teams in the world.
Do you know what? Do you think this is why two teams that just popped up in my head? Do you think this is why Brazil current team, the lack of flair from the traditional Brazilian teams to what we see now, and then subsequently you see Arteta's Arsenal, like they've got quite a lot of really good players, but they score now a lot of goals through their defenders, like Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, um, any other defenders. Like they seem to score a lot of set piece goals. Do you feel this is why, like one the two extremes, right? Brazil's case, where all of this up to date, latest, tactics is kind of hindering their free flowing football, and at the same time, Arteta on the other side is like, tactics great, but as you said, set pieces are very important. Whether it's
Yeah,
defending,
it's like
whether
a
it's
cheat
offense,
code.
it's a cheat code. Well, how did Arsenal beat Spurs? Earlier
Yeah,
today,
it's a cheat code.
yeah, through Gabriel
Yeah.
Magalhaes, I believe is a header as well. I didn't watch the game, but I think it was a header. So it's something that you're right, Ryan. Like
But
Chelsea needs to focus
but
on, man,
it
massively.
impacts the game tactically too. Think about it this way, right?
Mm,
Think about in between the pockets. Now defenders are scared to give away fouls in around the box. Now you have
mm.
defenders in two minds. They're getting caught out. They don't know if they drop in, if they drop back. Now
Yes,
you're giving
yes.
defenders something to think about. But now when defenders play Chelsea, they'll be like, you know what, just foul them. Because just foul
We'll
them.
defend this.
Yeah, we will defend it. No, we don't even need to defend it. They'll just kick it out for a goal kick. And the thing is, with Chelsea, even our fans don't believe we're gonna score free kicks. Nobody
Yeah.
pulls out the camera anymore.
Uh,
Nobody stands up and stands for a free kick. It's just like another one of those,
Yeah, like
you know?
I don't feel excited when we get
Yeah,
any set pieces now. Like when we get corners or when we
just
get free
go
kicks.
take a pee break or something. They take a piss.
But you know what, Ryan? I think
Mhm.
similarly, our defenders, what you just said, they're so worried that in set piece defending they could concede, and this is why they're a little bit tentative as well. Sometimes when they're defending, like, should I go in? Should I not? If I give away a foul here, it could be a opposition set piece, and then that could lead to a goal. Um, all of this seems to create a little bit of confusion at times. I feel like this is probably one of the reasons why we look a little bit shaky. Um, I mean, just going back on that match, like Bournemouth first half, they peppered our goal. Like, although a lot of the shots were from long range, but I don't get why our defenders, our midfielders, you can't allow Bournemouth to just run amok like that. Do you know what I mean? If it was a team with a little bit more quality than Bournemouth, that first half could have been disastrous.
Yeah.
So something to
Um, I
definitely think
think
about.
I think, and it's not only at Chelsea, it's a culture thing. It's just everybody wants to be followers, man. Like get with the trend. And all the new
Mm,
managers come in and want to get with the trend. But sometimes you need to the old things worked for a reason. And it doesn't mean you need to just destroy everything and rebuild.
yeah.
Old tactics, old philosophies, it ruled for generations because it worked. And if you
Mm,
could refine it with new things and push the envelope, it'll be better. Because think about, I just want to set an imagery here for
mm,
people, right? For you too. Think about it. Close your eyes. Listen to my voice,
hmm.
right?
Let me close my eyes.
One matter. I'm going to give you
Mm,
two scenes, right? And tell me which one you like. One matter on the corner kick. In the box, there's Drogba, Ivanovic, Cahill, Terry, right? On the edge of
mm,
the box, Lampard, Raw Morales
mm.
for the long shots. You have in and around the box six players who could score goals just by touching it once.
Champions League vibes, bro. 2012.
Now put next scenario now. We have whoever taking the corner. We have six people who indecisive with shooting, can't head a ball, no aerial ability,
Yeah.
probably never really scored on a set piece before. You're thinking, how did football get to this point where those things are not important anymore and it just looked past?
It's mad. It actually is mad. It's such an important part of the game, man. Like the amount of times you get all of these set piece opportunities, you
Yeah.
have to learn how to take capitalize. And I hope Enzo Maresca really starts honing in on some of our defenders, Wesley Fofana, Levi Colwell, whoever starts on a regular basis right now. It's them, and 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 also the midfielders. Like just get more busy during set pieces.
Yeah, but even up
Uh,
to 2 years ago, we had Rudiger, Zuma, Alonso in the
mm,
box running in for even as Piliqueters just pumping in for headers into the box. It was
yeah.
like every time we had a corner, it had a purpose. Like
Yeah.
these players, like I see some of our players in the box fighting for duels for corners, and like I'm like Enzo and these guys, right? Like pulling shirts, like these I showed Enzo and these guys so focused on pulling shirts because they just know that they're not gonna score or get
No,
headers.
no.
They don't even care about trying to score. Like they just like let's just look like we're looking busy. Let's just try to
Yeah.
make it look like we're busy, like we're doing something here, because this is what we see on TV. Because none of these guys, like I know that Asper Equator, he's not even known for set pieces, but the
Yeah.
way he would just dive in like an aeroplane, just all guns out for that header, even though he's not,
Spanish Airlines.
and he's like a short fullback, but
Yeah.
he just like have so much conviction that if I just happen to touch this ball, it's gonna score.
It's gonna go in. Yeah.
And these, I watch our set pieces and I'm like, I kind of embarrassed, man. And
Yeah,
it's,
it's very
people,
embarrassing.
it's like so much goals. I'll just round up the point here so I don't talk about set pieces whole podcast, but we're talking about maybe 20 to 25 goals we're giving up here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at the amount of set pieces a team gets every game, whether it's defending, whether it's offensive. But hopefully, the guy, apparently, now we've got this guy named Bernardo Cueva from Brentford. Hopefully, all of this improves in time. Now, moving swiftly along, let's talk about a few players, and then we want to talk about the future outlook with West Ham coming up. I want to touch base on, first of all, I think talk of the town, Jadon Sancho. Um, a lot of the Man United fans are in meltdown. Some Man United fans are saying, "Oh, you'll see the real Jadon Sancho very, very soon when he starts kicking up a fuss." Right. I always liked this player, um, but I thought, okay, maybe the English Premier League might be a bit too much for him. This is why he shines a lot in the Bundesliga. But I thought it's still, it's an opportunistic purchase. There's only upside to it, really. The obligation to buy is 25 million next season, so it's not that much. The wages, I think we've compromised the wages a little bit from what he was earning with Man United. But he really, like, even though I did want him to start this match against Bournemouth, but he blew my mind, man. Like, his intent, every time he got the ball, Ryan, his body positioning, there was nothing
Mm,
negative about it. It was always, I'm about to come, I'm about to like take you on, like, and
yeah,
he literally scared the opposition. And if it wasn't him being able to dribble, it's quick link ups,
yeah,
pass, go. Do you know what I mean?
yep,
And I loved it. Most of his passes were all progressive as well. He wasn't that he gets the ball and just looks back to his fullbacks or his centre backs and he just passes to them. Most things he was doing was either forward, waiting for a runner so he can pass it through, then he can take a new position, or a little bit forward towards the midfield area. Man, look, form is going to be up and down, no problems. But you know what? He gave me the insight, a couple of insights. One, if Mudrik can't perform that way, you don't deserve to be in the team or you don't even deserve to start. That's for sure. That's number one. Number two, there's a serious, serious level of footballer there in Jadon Sancho. Like, if we get it right with this guy, he's only 24 still. Bro, this could be a serious level of purchase for Chelsea Football Club.
yeah. No, I think there's a player in there. I don't want to jump too much ahead of myself because
Mm,
we had players who had good debuts, like Modric. Even Modric was one of them. An amazing
true.
debut he had. Um, a lot of players on the debut they step up and they come with this fire and
Mm,
fire and fire. I just hope that it's one of those things that we know these players have the talent. It's just that it keeps on going and going and going. Even Sterling, when he started coming that preseason and we saw him, we said
mm.
like, wow, this guy is going to be such an important player for us for years. You
So
know,
true. Yeah.
the way he was turning on the half turn in the pockets, this and that. It was kind of doing that Hazard role, dropping centrally, this and that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think for Sancho, honestly, anytime you see a player play like an outlier, right?
Mm,
And trying to get where I'm trying to come from. So all the teammates are playing there, playing the game, right? Kind of playing
mm,
the same kind of game, but the one player who comes in seems like an outlier.
mm,
That shows me something about the power of mentality. That if you want and you really have that need that I need to play like this, I need to take that initiative and urgency that you could. And it
mm,
just shows me that sometimes that doesn't necessarily come. Coaching and tactics could only do so much. And when a player actually wants to get to that level, they could. Because why would Sancho alone come with that intent and then everybody else just seems as if they kind of doing the rounds? You understand what I mean?
yeah.
So imagine if more players would hold themselves up to that standard more and more and more. It kind of just begs the question why players don't set to that standard more and more and more.
Mm.
And
Sorry, Ryan. I was just my manager was just messaging me. Sorry, can you just repeat that again?
yeah, so I was saying like when most say for example you have your four attackers playing, like a couple
Yeah,
midfielders and attackers playing in one way, right?
yeah.
And then one player comes in and they just look like the obvious outlier. Whereas all these four players have the same talent, but one comes in with an obvious outlier performance.
Yeah.
They come in with a certain intent and urgency. It goes to show the power of when someone actually wants to play with that urgency, they could do it.
Yes.
And it kind
Yes.
of begs the question why everybody else around them were not doing that for the past 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And
Yeah.
it does it come down to, do we blame the coach as the coach's job to initiate that into them? Or do players need to take individual responsibility into what expectations they have for their own game?
I think it's a bit of both. The biggest contributor I feel like is the environment. Sometimes I think if you have an environment that breeds a lot of negativity, that breeds a lot of uncertainty, that breeds a lot of toxicity, basically, that can hamper one's game. That can hamper one's mindset. That can hamper everything that we used to know about a player, as you said, an outlier. It can really have a bad impact on them. Now, similarly with a manager as well, if a manager is someone who's not a confidence person, who's not someone who's able to sell his vision of football to the players, to the state where the players stay confused, then that can also create that decline in performance for an outlier. I think some of these players, like, and I don't want to harp on about this particular player because I don't want to talk about another team's player, but for example, Kai Havertz, for example, right? This guy was not putting the level of performances at times he's putting for Arsenal. He wasn't doing that for Chelsea Football Club. Now, we remember the kind of player he used to be in Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
And now look at him in Arsenal. A lot better, a lot better. I wouldn't say excellent, but a lot better. And that's just an example I'm giving, right? There are many other players that have gone and done better elsewhere as opposed to playing well at Chelsea. I feel like there has to be a reason, right, Ryan? Like, how's a player like him in Bayer Leverkusen doing so well? Comes to Chelsea, doesn't do well, goes to Arsenal, starts doing better. So what happened in Chelsea? We have to understand that a lot. Chelsea's just one club. Man United's another one where players seem to
I
leave Man
think
United, they do better. And I think
I
this
think
has to do something with it.
I know, man. I think I know. I think I have all the answers, bro.
Mm,
No, but I think I know. And this problem has been happening not only in this ownership, but in the past ownership too,
mm,
where there's countless players that came to Chelsea and just have not gone to that level
mm,
in the past. And I think I know why. I think Chelsea, like for example, Arsenal, right? They would get a player and they would scout that player and tell this player that you are the missing piece in my 11.
mm.
And we want you for this specific role. And we believe you are the person to catapult us in this phase of attack or defense or whatever it is. Right?
Yeah.
Declan Rice, you're the missing piece. Havertz, you're the missing piece. This and that. I think Arsenal, when they buy players with a purpose. I don't
Mm,
think Arsenal buys a player and they just go under the radar. Rarely, very few of them you'll see.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
with Chelsea, it seemed like we were always that kind of club where our scouts were kind of all over the place, that maybe they weren't in direct communication with a manager. I felt
Mm,
like the last time we actually had a manager who bought players with intent was Mourinho,
yeah.
where
Yeah.
like the board and manager were in one where we said we need a Diego Costa, then
Yeah.
we need
We
a
need a
Matic,
test. Yeah.
then we need a Cesc, then we need a Matic,
Yeah.
and it was like
A
everybody
proper
who came,
intent. Proper intent.
they had
Yeah.
a purpose. I feel like even when we
Yeah.
bought these players here, and even in last few seasons, like with Ziyech and Werner and Kai, it's like they did not really had a purpose. They didn't even know what position they were going to play.
Bro, I think we stumbled onto a few of the players this window. Jean Felix
Yeah,
was never in the plan.
yeah,
Like, I don't even like. I don't care anyone
but
what
we
anyone
still
says.
isn't. Don't know what to do with him.
I hope he does come good, but you're right. Jaden Sancho, no one can tell me he was in the plans.
Yeah, he was not.
It was an opportunistic situation.
Yeah, They don't
So
even Neto.
mm,
I don't feel he's playing on the correct side.
yeah, yeah,
So
probably should be playing on the
isn't
right.
so
Yeah.
isn't that direct plan a direct idea? It feel like when they come to Chelsea, they're still figuring it out. So now
Mm,
imagine it takes a lot of time for your player to figure out the instructions. Imagine your coach needs to take time to figure out what instructions to give you. Then this
that's a good
process is
point.
even it doubles, and then confidence start to drop, performances start to drop. In Kunku, we still don't know what to do with him. Imagine you scouted
Yeah.
this player for a year. You finally got the player. He got
And now you're
injured.
lost. Yeah.
This is like a 3-year project with Nkunku since he's on
Yeah.
our radar, and you still do not know how to play him. If you're gonna buy a player of that level, you must surely know that we're gonna play him here because he's the missing piece to our puzzle.
Mm,
And that's why Chelsea, ever since, we just don't have a plan. We just buy from opportunities. Or we
mm.
sometimes it's ego buying too. How to make a statement signing, how to
Yeah.
outpower other club. It's like we
Yeah.
beefing other clubs and beefing everybody else, but we're not really sticking to our plan and idea.
This is why a lot of people have been saying, Ryan, that great, we've got a lot of talented players, but have really built a good squad. And you look at that, you look at that team that was put out against Bournemouth, Axel Desassi. We bought this guy, what, maybe 13, 14 months ago now. Yeah, 2023, January, right? Did we get Desassi in January? What was it last summer?
Uh, I'm not quite
January, I
sure,
think.
but I know he was here a while now.
Yeah, yeah. So might have been January. I don't remember now. Anyway, bottom line is now all of a sudden this guy's nowhere to be seen. Like he's not really part of the plans. Buddy Ashil, another one, not part of the plans. Like I love the fact that you said, man, let's start making purchases with intent. Let's not just purchase to make a statement on rivals that look at how much we can flex. Even when we come 12th or 6th and not in Champions League, look at all the players that still come to. That's great for banter, but let's go out there and purchase. It's so true, Ryan, man. Next window, and I guess this is all comes down to all of that ownership shenanigans that's taken place. I just hope that next window we're not confused anymore. That we just buy players with good intent. And it's such a good point. Like in Kunku, for example, you did all that scouting. Why are you confused? Why are you so
Exactly.
confused? Where to use him? And I'm glad that he came off the bench and he showed that intent. And this is how I want players to react when they are not. I'm pretty sure
Yeah, I
Nkunku
like that
himself.
celebration, bro.
Yeah, I
That
love that
celebration shows someone
celebration.
who wants to do good,
Yeah, I love that celebration. And I loved how he just came off the bench and it was just so eager to perform well. And I want to see that from players when they feel confused. I'm pretty sure Nkunku must feel confused in his head that what's Chelsea doing with me? What am I? Where am I going to play? In the preseason, we played him as a number 10. Sometimes if it feels like he's there involved, sometimes he's not involved. Now, more and more, it seems like maybe he can give us a lot more as a striker up front. That finishing what he did against Bournemouth, I don't think Jackson does that. I don't think Jackson has the capacity to hold off two players, technical ability to take the ball with his left, bring it to his right, and then slot that through. I don't think Jackson has that. But it's going to your point that Enzo Maresca needs to really make this team feel like you belong here. You're an important player and you'll be playing around here. This is your role. And I feel like a lot of players probably don't seem to know yet. Early days, but this is an important factor, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm scared with Maresca is that the amount of players we bought even before he came and then during his time here for this summer probably
Mm,
don't get him to the position where he can't add exactly what he needs because all these additions are already been made, and we have to make use of them because they're here on 8-year contracts. It's not like they're just coming on like 5-year contracts or on loan or something. These guys coming in here on 8-year contracts. So it's
Mm,
hard to get rid of them. So, I would say though, however, the players that we buy was really good. Yeah, especially attacking players.
mm,
And Neto, João Felix, Sancho. I think they have a promising future. But I think, for example, João Felix,
yeah,
how is he going to feel that he doesn't even know what role he has to play?
yeah,
And Kunku doesn't know what role he has to play. I think that Enzo has a lot of man managing to do
correct, correct.
during all of this. And we
Yeah,
always go back to it. Enzo has such a big job to do where he's not just a coach and tactics and this and that. He's like a father figure.
father figure.
Need to
Yeah,
push
yeah,
people, and it is a tough situation for him to be.
100%, man. And then he needs to ensure that all of these players are mentally well in their space, in their mental space, because as we touched base earlier on in the podcast, that I think half the trick is just to be mentally fine.
Can I ask
That
you a question
yeah,
about this? And it's a big question, and maybe we can end off on this, right?
mm,
We come here each podcast, maybe whether we do bad or good, we talk about probably was the good next steps we could do, right?
mm,
And maybe when we win the last match, we would be a little more lenient and a little more hopeful.
yeah,
But gut feeling, and from what you've seen before for the past few years and with other clubs, do
yeah.
you genuinely feel a project like this could work?
Such a tough question, man.
Do you
Not the
genuinely feel we could keep on going with just Fofana and Colwell and not adding experience to our
don't think
back
so,
line?
man. I don't think so. I, j- we cannot operate the way we're operating and how we are acting in the transfer market and still hope that we are going to compete at the highest level. I don't think so, Ryan. Like, we came off a game against Bournemouth. Yes, albeit I'm excited that we got the 3 points, but could have easily been zero. Very
Yeah.
easily been zero. And
Yep.
this is how it's going to be almost every weekend. We got a match coming up against West Ham. Even though I'm confident we got the 3 points against Bournemouth, we should be going in with some level of confidence against West Ham away from home. But I don't utterly feel secured with this team. So to answer your question, this project, it all ties into what you've just said. This project will only get a lot of credibility once it starts making transfers with intent. Once the squad starts showing mentality beyond talent. All the things we've touched base on in this podcast, all of those things will make me feel, if we correct them, it will start making me feel that, okay, there's a
Yeah.
project happening. Besides that, bro, it's just hope. It's just hope, isn't it? We're just hoping, not really banking on anything. We're just
Yeah,
hoping.
because look at this example too, right? About a few podcasts ago when Madueke scored that hat trick, right?
Hmm.
We were on that we need to see this again. We need to see continue with the assists and goals and
Yes.
continue. And when you get the chance to play, you've gotten 3 starts in a row, and there's been nothing to really show for it.
Yeah.
And that is what you get from young players. And
Hmm.
when they don't have the intensity that you need at this level, and when
Correct.
they don't have the guidance from people who've been there and done that to show
Correct.
them the right intensity to have. Because we're banking on Madueke to teach himself. So after having that hat trick, who's going to guide him how to come into train, how to approach the next match, how to do this and
No
that?
one. No one.
No. So he'll fall off for 3 games. So when you think about Colwell and Fofana, when the mistakes start creeping in, How are they going to bounce back? Or even when they do very well, how are they going to keep that consistency?
Mm,
I feel like a project like this, I don't see it ever succeeding without experience.
you're right, bro. Like that's how I feel. I know a lot of people hear this and they're like, "Oh, here we go. They're so negative again." But we're in our third season, and it's not like we're going anywhere very fast upwards. So unless and
I
until
tell you,
like,
I'll be surprised if we win the next match.
bro, it's a question mark. Like, you cannot sit here and just put your hand on your heart and go, "It's a confirmed victory." Bro, I was actually worried against Bournemouth. I was worried, and to be honest, I've been somewhat vindicated as well because we could have lost that game. So we cannot feel this way. It has to somehow change down the track where we can move into games and go, yeah, we got them. It's a
Yeah.
wrap. But unless and until we actually do the stuff that you've just mentioned, some level of keep certain talented players no problems. But like, and this is how we'll end it. Something to think about for everyone. Cole Palmer, for instance, right? He was on a high last season with the level of accomplishment that he had, right?
Hmm.
This season, as much as I believe he drives himself, he has come from an establishment like Man City, he's seen what it takes to be a superstar. But you can't help to think the levels are so different from Man City to Chelsea that this season he may feel, oh man, like I've achieved everything last season. Like, you know, I'll just like, who's there to motivate him to go keep going hard? Like more is needed.
Yeah, and it goes to show like we as fans feel down and out. Like, do you genuinely have a hope that we make Champions League football like top four? Like, do you genuinely feel like a confidence like, bro, we could fight and hear that Champions League anthem again in September?
My realistic view is top six, and if we get
And
Champions League, it'll be an overachievement for sure.
so, what? So imagine if as fans we feel like that. What about players?
Yeah.
Do they genuinely like? Do they know that feeling of being under the Champions League lights and that goosebumps you feel? And you're
Mm,
going against the best and that adrenaline and the crowd and that roar when they score a match in the Champions League against one of the biggest sides. And that hope you feel that maybe we could edge away and get to that final.
mm,
These players don't know what it feels to play for a team like Chelsea. Or they play for a Chelsea team, but they don't know how it feels to play for a club like Chelsea. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
that does
They
make
don't know
sense.
how it feels to play on the biggest stage, under the biggest, the brightest of lights, with all
Mm,
eyes watching. The big occasion, that roar of the crowd, that celebration,
yeah,
that medal around the neck, that trophy stand holding up. They don't have what it takes to fight for that because they don't know how it
absolutely,
feels.
absolutely.
They
Not only
have they come into this season already with their chins down, thinking that that's not even a possibility.
wow. I mean, if that's the case, then you're never going to be able to achieve it. Like you have to have the belief that you're going to be able to do something. But you're right. Are they actually thinking that way? Who knows? Who knows? Like I remember back in the days, Ryan. Like our teams in the likes of Drogba, Lampard, Ashley Cole, Peter Cech, John Terry, the game was finished in the tunnel, Like
Hmm.
the opposition would see our lineup and be like, oh my God, I think it's over.
Yeah, but
Now, now it's not that case
yeah,
anymore.
but when those players came in as young players, they had experience around them too.
Yeah, yeah, correct,
They had Chelsea legends around them, teaching them
correct.
the craft. When
Yeah.
these guys look, it'll be a miracle if Fofana and Colwell could stay injury free. We already see we have
Mhm.
Disasi playing right back. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Reece James. the guy who's meant to be guiding this team to a certain level, he's not even available. He's barely available. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Yes, glad we won, but question marks still remain. Question marks still remain on the club, on the squad. The one thing I will say, and I'll let you have the final say as well. I think Enzo Maresca is aware of all this. I think that is one really really good
Yeah,
positive, right? That I hear what he
yeah,
says post match, and so far he's been spot on every single game
yeah.
where we've done well. Where we just before the
Okay.
international break, the Crystal Palace game, he said we
Uh,
deserve to have won that game well and truly before it
yeah,
finished. Like at halftime, it should have been done. And I love even in this game, he's like, I didn't like the first half. We're not winning duels. We're not winning second balls. He's on
yeah,
point. So I
yeah,
like a manager that is, he knows,
yeah.
which is a good start.
As to end this off, I'll say what? You know
Yeah.
what we do in all our podcasts with this
Mm,
project, I talk about Chelsea project. We always look back and compare to the great teams in the past, how things was in the past, managers of the
mm,
past, right?
mm,
No matter the result next game, because we'll be back for post match, whether we
mm.
win or lose, after we review the match for the first 10 15 minutes, we'll go and do a segment where we think about how we can make this project work with
Yeah.
the mentality of players now without trying to problem solve or the solution being make them into the old mentality. No.
Mm,
How could we take the mentality now and move forward? How could we take tactics now and move forward? How we could take the situation we're in with transfers, young players, and move
mm,
forward without taking the scapegoat answer of bringing our old formula back?
mm.
Maybe that'll be a good topic to talk about because
100%.
whereas it does look difficult because it's never really been done before. A wise man once said on this podcast, it's not all doom and gloom. So yeah. So maybe we could end it on that and think about that for the next podcast because that'll
That's
be a good
beautiful.
conversation.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us till the end of this particular episode of That's Life podcast. We shall be back, by God willing, after the West Ham game, which is
Yeah.
less than a week away now, and we'll see where we are. I think this will be this is a great podcast. Honestly, it will show us the journey
Yep.
where Chelsea's heading because we are talking deeper than what the surface really shows us. So
Yep.
it will be interesting the journey of Chelsea Football Club this season and where it's heading. So yeah, Ryan, once again, thank you so much for your time
Thank you, bro. Always.
and brilliant conversation again. And to the live chat, let us know how you felt about everything we spoke about. Try and keep it as respectful as possible. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you want to slander any of us, go ahead, slander away. I know we may not be the cup of tea for everyone, but try and be as respectable as possible. Follow Ryan on social media. The links are there in the description. And smash the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe. Let's get to 36,000. Very, very close now. Let's get to 36,000 subscribers. Until next time, everyone, take care. See ya. Goodbye.
Yo.